Ladies and gentlemen, seekers of light and secret knowledge wherever you may be, you are listening to Points of Light Radio, the podcast dedicated to taking you past the apron and behind the closed doors of lodges everywhere. And here is your host, Stan Miller.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Shalom, assalamu alaikum, adnastana. It's a pleasure to be back with you here on Points of Light Radio and continuing this wonderful journey that we embarked upon a few years back, this journey of light and knowledge. And in today's segment of Points of Light Radio, we will be revisiting the Knights of Pythias. I'm quite excited actually to be revisiting them because we haven't really covered them this year, right? I believe the last time, may be wrong, but the last time I covered the Knights of Pythias was, I believe, March 2nd of 2023. Just a brief recap. The Knights of Pythias was founded in Washington, D.C. on the 19th of February, 1864, by a gentleman named Justice Henry Rothbone. He was also a Freemason. Now, Mr. Rothbone was impressed by the play by the Irish poet John Donne about the Greek legend of Damien and Pythias. I'll let my guest possibly expand on this as we go along. The order is headquartered in Stoughton, Massachusetts. Some of the lodges meet in structures referred to as Pythian castles. The Knights of Pythias has had, and as I've often said, they have had some very prominent members of society. Among them were Presidents William G. Harding, William McKinley, Franklin D. Roosevelt, as well as Vice Presidents Nelson A. Rockefeller, Hubert Horatio Humphrey, and many more in the political circles of Washington. Now, my guest for this segment of Points of Light Radio is Tommy Schroeder. Mr. Schroeder reached out to me recently. He's a member of the Fredericton number 22 Knights of Pythias Lodge, Fredericksburg number 22 Knights of Pythias Lodge in Virginia. Now, this is the first in a series of interviews that I'll be doing with them. Can't wait to talk to this. I talked to him not too long ago, and it was very, very, very interesting conversation I had with him. But as I always ask you, are you still thirsty for knowledge? Are you still searching for the light? Then you just trim your lamp and follow me. Mr. Schroeder, welcome to Points of Light Radio. You are a member of a number of fraternal orders, but you're here this evening to talk specifically about the Knights of Pythias. First of all, tell my listeners and viewers about yourself. I had a conversation with you earlier, but let's have it for my listeners and viewers.
Sure. My name is Tommy Schroeder. I am a Freemason, member of Bacca Grada, which is an independent body in Freemasonry, and I'm a member of Fredericksburg Lodge 22 Knights of Pythias.
Okay. Now, tell us about the Knights of Pythias. Like, how long have you been a member?
Okay, so I've been a member since February, but, I've loved it long since before then. The last thing my grandmother gave to me before she died was a uniform rank sword. And if you don't know what that is sort of like it was sort of like a military version, auxiliary of the Knights of Pythias. Now, the Knights of Pythias was founded in Washington, D.C. in around the time of the Civil War, actually. It is one of the few organizations actually chartered by an act of Congress.
Yeah.
And it is based on the love of Greek play between two.
Damon and Pythias.
Yep.
Yeah, he was very impressed, and he was like you say, you're a Mason. Justice Rothbone was also a Mason, the founder of it. He, but he watched that play and was so impressed. He thought, amazing how the people thought in those days, how their minds were so open. Like he actually thought, man, I could make a fraternal order around that.
Absolutely, and he did, and it was actually at the time the third most largest fraternal order in America, I believe, after the Odd Fellows and Masons.
And I think you'll agree with me. It's been undergoing a resurgence, shall we say, over the last 2 to 5 years.
Oh, absolutely. There's been some new lodges that have been chartered and stuff. Um, Now the way it's structured is like a lot of places, there's local, subordinate lodges. There's a Grand Lodge, and then we all answer to the Supreme Lodge. And so the Supreme Lodge is sort of like the international, headquarters, but is primarily an American order. Although there are lodges in Canada where you are, of course. There's a lodge in the Philippines, and I've heard talk we're
Yeah,
trying to get one in Scotland started up.
exactly. It's amazing. Now, what roles do you hold in the Knights of Pythias?
So right now I'm just a member because I'm so new. I'm not, I've not yet been installed as an officer. Although I'm told next year, hopefully, I'll be put in as outer guard, or I'll start, what we call, what a lot of fraternal orders, I guess, call. I don't want to give anything away, but moving through the chairs, so to speak.
Yes, of course, yeah. And how many members does your castle have, by the way?
My lodge is actually one of the bigger lodges. So we have over, I want to say, now we don't get this much to show up at meetings, but I want to say we have around 200 active members at my lodge. It helps that my lodge is also has a bingo hall, so we make a lot of money for that way to help with stuff. But I have went and saw other lodges, like when I was in Fayetteville, North Carolina, for a weekend. I got a tour of Cumberland #5, and so it's interesting to see how different lodges do things differently.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what exactly does your Knights of Pythias castle do that makes it, shall we say, so special to you?
Well, I, there are a number of things really. What makes it so special to me, besides it being a Pythian castle, I've always wanted to join the Knights. Um, what else makes it special to me is there's a great camaraderie and friendship, and we do a lot like to help the community. Like my lodge, my Pythian lodge in particular, we do donate like a lot of money to charity. In fact, I kind of think we have to, due to the whole bingo and how state law, like state, laws run on, if you make money through bingo, you have to give some. We're a nonprofit, so we do actually do a lot for charity, right? And it's just amazing seeing, an organization doing so much. Like we support the Big Brothers and Big Sisters Federation, Crime Stoppers.
Wow. Yeah. So, but would you say the makeup of your Pythian castle is? Is it young, old? Is it mixed? Like you have women in your lodge as well, or?
So there are Pythian castles, lodges. Like the order itself does allow a woman. Mine is a bit more of a conservative castle, so at the time we do not have women. We have a women's auxiliary, Pythian Sisters, that we have, but
If you're in touch with them, make sure you send them my way because I'd like to interview the Pythians
oh, sure, I can probably get someone from there for you.
and talk
Yeah.
to them about Kana and things like
Yep.
that.
Um, but as for the age range, I want to say it's mostly older guys, to be honest. There are some that are mid younger or stuff. I'm actually one of the younger guys at my lodge, obviously.
Mhm. Now, you're a member of Freemasonry, you said, and you're also a member of the Knights of Pythias. How do you feel like many people think that these orders are kind of poor man's Freemasonry, these other things, but do you think it really is a stand on its own type of organization? Like, do you think it's
Um,
equal to it?
so there have been some similarities. I'm not gonna give any away, but like in ritual, there's a lot of similarities I've noticed to the craft.
Hmm.
There are also a lot of things that are different, and we do things differently. Like, for example, in my lodge, like, and not in the castle hall, obviously, but in my building, there is a bar, and I don't know how they do things in Canada, but in the States, or at least in Virginia, Masonic lodges are not allowed to have bars
Wow.
in, in their lodges, and that goes back to the whole prohibition thing I've been told.
Hmm.
But that was a bit of a shock because I'm told the Elks and the Eagles also do that, have bars in their areas or lodges or whatever. But seeing a bar in a lodge is like a bit of a culture shock, and the other thing that's different from the Masons is the Masons are very formal, right? I mean, we have to dress up usually.
Hmm.
Now, my Masonic lodge, we're not as formal as some other lodges. Like I told you earlier, uh, if you go to Fredericksburg Lodge, which was number 4, which was George Washington's Masonic Lodge, and student tie, it's a black tie thing.
Hmm.
But my lodge, you know, khakis and a polo shirt. But at the Knights of Pythias, it's basically dress however you want. So, that's nice. Like, I like dressing up every now and then, but wearing a suit and tie is not something I like to do on a daily basis.
But I do think that not everybody. What I do like is not everybody's going to be comfortable in Freemasonry and things such as that. But the KOP, I do think personally, having been in it, I'm in it myself, and I just think it is a standalone good organization myself. I really do. I think it's right up there with Freemasonry. I don't look down on any of these different orders personally. I think they're, you know what I mean? I don't see them in any way as kind of the poor man's version of that. And I do love the KOP that way. I really do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't see it as a poor man's anything. I see it as very similar to Freemasonry, but I see like men and people of all walks of life in both organizations. To be honest,
Hmm. Hmm.
all classes really. As long as you can pay lodge dues, and as long as you're voted in a member and are able to pay lodge dues yearly, you're gonna be a member for life. You could be rich, poor, whatever, in any of these organizations.
Hmm. Absolutely. Well, Mr. Schroeder, I appreciate your time, and we'll definitely have to have you back here to talk about these other orders.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Bye bye. That was Tommy Schroeder, brothers and sisters, shedding some light on the Knights of Pythias. And wasn't it great? As I always say this, isn't it great revisiting them? I, you know, I love the Knights of Pythias. I really do. As you heard me saying this, in the interest of full disclosure, I am a member at large of a Knights of Pythias lodge. We don't have one near where I live. Hopefully, I can change that. But I just love the organization itself. And you know what? It's wonderful to have Mr. Schroeder on here. As I said at the beginning of this particular segment, it's a first in a series of interviews I'm going to do with them. I love the fact that this young gentleman he's brand new to fraternalism, right? And he's, as you will see in further interviews with him, how he's moved forward within fraternalism. And it's great to hear that fraternalism is still attracting younger members. I think that's wonderful. We need our old stalwarts, but we also need fresh blood in these organizations. And you saw here how he's joined that. And the other thing is, I want to point out here, you heard me say this in the interview, all these organizations have their merits, all right? They really do. And the Knights of Pythias is one of those that it's, been, like I said, started out in the, shall we say, mid-1800s, and it's still around today, enjoying a bit of a resurgence. And it's wonderful to hear that. And one of the reasons for that, it is still a wonderful organization to belong to. It really is. Right? But that's all I have time for today, brothers and sisters. Before I go, I want to remind you that this podcast is available on both YouTube and Spreaker. Please share, like, and subscribe when viewing Points of Light Radio on YouTube. I also welcome your comments and input. You can follow Points of Light Radio on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Points of Light Radio. My Twitter handle is at PO Light Radio. You can see the link to my Spotify channel, as well as my Points of Light Radio store, and also a link where you can voluntarily donate to the podcast, and we will use the funds raised there to move Points of Light Radio forward. Brothers and sisters, it has been a pleasure fellowshipping with you today and my guest here. Until we meet again, just step into the light.